You know, some people enjoy composing their own music, chord by chord, and others are happiest when they come across that one perfect song. Work is not a lot different than that. Whether you prefer building your own workflow or using a pre-made template, with Monday.com, you and the team can work in a way that's comfortable for everyone. Tap the banner to go to Monday.com and build your own amazing workflow, or find an awesome template. No judgment.
Welcome to the RuPaul's Drag Race Recap Show for All Stars Season 5, Episode 4, titled She MZ. My name's Joe Betance, and I am joined, as always, by the goddess of guts, gold, and glitter. From the Bloody Podcast Network, please say...
I'm aroused.
To Lauri Roggenkamp. Hello, Lauri Roggenkamp.
Hello, darling.
Oh, Lauri, by the way, we had such a great conversation right now on Just Between Us Girls.
Yeah.
What did we talk about?
I guess the main topic was that you're successful.
No. That was the real Just Between Us Girls. I'm talking about the Just Between Us Girl we recorded 24 hours ago before you vomited your brains out.
Yeah, and pooped.
Ew.
Yeah, we talked... Oh, what did we talk about? God, that's such a blur to me. You know what? I don't remember.
Guys, it was good, though. I remember it was, there was, serious topics and whatnot. If you want to know...
we talked about boycotting. That's right. We talked about boycotting.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, anyway, by the way, guys, if you want to hear what we did talk about, it was more than boycotting. I remember there was a lot of, family stories and whatnot.
Yeah, we talked about family drama.
Yeah.
We talked about boycotting. How that
Yeah. Go over to patreon.com/afterthoughtmedia and join at the premium level to get access to Just Between Us Girls. You get this show early, commercial free. Because right now those BetterHelp. By the way, if you guys are skipping those BetterHelp ads, and I know it's not like I get Lauri, aren't those BetterHelp ads so funny? I know the one today, the one that's... Well, I shouldn't say because they only air for a certain amount of time, so people who listen in the future aren't going to hear these at all. But right now, if you're in the future, if you're listening, you might not hear this, but there's these BetterHelp spots running, and they're long. They're infomercials, and this one is so funny, the one that runs today, that it happened on Wednesday.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, okay, go over to patreon.com/afterthoughtmedia and join at the premium level. Okay, Lauri, let's jump right into it. This week, the queens team up to improv through scandalous situations on The Gossip Show, She MZ. On the runway, the category is Camo Couture. Ms. Cracker is named the top All-Star of the Week. Meanwhile, RuPaul placed India Farah and Mayhem Miller in the bottom two. On the main stage, RuPaul revealed Morgan McMichaels as this week's lip-sync assassin. Did I say assassin? Whatever. After a lip-sync battle for their legacies, both Cracker and Morgan McMichaels were named the winners. As the winners, they both pulled a lipstick from their bra and they revealed the same name, that the third eliminated queen is Mayhem Miller. Lauri Roggenkamp, named two things you liked about the episode and one thing you did not.
I liked the improv scenes. I thought for the most part they were pretty good. Mm-hmm. I'm gonna get a little nitpicky when we get into them, but just overall they were pretty good. I liked the looks. I love camouflage. Mm-hmm. We talked about this before I barfed diarrheaed my brains out. I used to wear mostly camouflage in high school. That's what I used to wear. Mm-hmm. So,
were you worried about people? You didn't want people to see you?
Yeah, I was covering my fat parts.
Yeah,
but yeah. So I used to have a camouflage slanket, mm-hmm. and so yeah. So I love the looks. What I didn't like the part of SheMZ where it was just the boys doing the TMZ spoof.
Yeah.
I thought it was funny that Carson had a little teacup. Mm-hmm. I thought that was really funny. But mm-hmm. then everything else, it just seemed like they were struggling with their lines, and it just seemed very forced. It didn't seem as fluid as the actual scenes did. Mm-hmm. So,
well, it's funny that that's the one thing you picked out. Well, the two things I like, I'm with you. I love Jujubee. Like, here's the thing. You know, Jujubee's always been beloved, but I really feel this is the season where she is going to really, or she has been shining, because she was originally on season 2, where she got close, but you know, it was really that season was really about Tyra and Raven. Okay, so she was a little overshadowed. All Stars 1 had a lot of big personalities in there. Alexis Mateo was on that season. Manila Luzon was on that season, and she was great. And she had a very amazing moment with Raven where they cried because they were drunk and they lip synced to Robin's. What's that Robin song? Dancing on My Own. And it's an iconic moment in RuPaul's Drag Race history. Came in 3rd. But I don't know how she's going to fare in this season. But I think already she's won. She's won the hearts of America. And and I think at the now whoever wins the crown, even if it's Jujubee, great, it's a double win. But if it's not Jujubee, whoever wins the crown, I still think is running second to Jujubee, who's winning America's heart. And so that's one thing. I think you have the
classic archetype of the reality show, which is you have Alexis Mateo, who's trying to play the mental aspect of the game very, very hard. And so who's to see if that'll work out or not? You have Shea Coulee, who is who is a solid front runner, has all the talent, but you can see is kind of buckling a little bit to the pressure. And then you have Jujubee, who's almost kind of succeeding because of lowered expectations. You know, I think she kind of assumes that Shea might be the one to win. So it just seems to me like she's there to have fun. And that I feel like is really what's causing her to win, is that she's having fun in the confessionals. She's having fun during the workroom time. She's having fun in the competition. She's having fun in the looks. So it's just like she's just there to have fun. And she's just there to, and I think that she's doing a great job. So
the other thing I really liked, I don't know if you happen to watch Untucked, Lauri, but
I did.
At the very end, Morgan McMichaels, who is Mayhem Miller's best friend, comes backstage to help Mayhem pack, and she's just sobbing, and she makes Mayhem cry. And this show, I would say even this season is just packed to the gills with inauthentic producer-driven moments. So to see a very authentic moment between two sisters, essentially, was really heartwarming, and I really liked it. Especially since Morgan McMichaels, for those of you who aren't that familiar with her, I feel one of the criticisms you can have of her is that she can come off as very cold. Her persona. But here we got to see the real Morgan McMichaels and in her boy clothes and her boy drag. And
I thought it was really sweet. And I just loved how she was like just as heartbroken as Mayhem, and just think about how devastating that is to, to be best friends with somebody. And then you're essentially one of the reasons why that person gets eliminated from a competition.
Yeah. By the way, I want to address something, Spiral Queen. I rarely we have a chat room that goes on, and if you were on Patreon, you would be part of that chat room. And I rarely acknowledge it on Drag Race Recap, but Spiral did something really important, because I felt the same way I got triggered when you said lowered expectations. Because it has a racial connotation to it. The soft
it does?
The soft bigotry of lowered expectations. But she goes, she realized you meant lower self expectations, lower pressure on herself. So not the expectations of others. Okay. All right. I was a little triggered when you said that. I was like, what's going on here?
Oh, I didn't realize that. No, I didn't know that.
It's not necessarily, it does come from a famous phrase from a black race a thinker on race, and he talked about the soft bigotry or lower expectations.
I was mostly saying that she was just like, look, I'm not. I mean, she's even said, I'm not taking this too seriously right now.
Yeah. I just clarifying that for the audience. Okay. And then the one thing I did not like, I think you and I are gonna have a very interesting discussion here. I absolutely detested everything about SheMZ from beginning to end. I thought it was horrible. Okay, and I'll get into my specifics.
Oh, really?
Now I know, and I'm very interested to hear your thoughts because everyone should know. People on Patreon know this because Lauri likes to brag about this, but Lauri is, I guess, the self-appointed goddess of comedy and improv in Los Angeles.
Yes. Well, I was the queen, but then improv and comedy died during the COVID. So during COVID, I'm the goddess of improv and comedy.
Yeah, she is the goddess of improv and comedy in Los. Like people like, and I think where did we talk about this last? Where Robin Williams even asked if he could perform with you.
He asked if he could perform with the team I was performing with because we were the next team up. There was no other reason. It's not like he saw us and was like, them. He just wanted to perform with the team. So that's it.
I think he wanted to perform with you.
But he stayed afterwards for like 2.5 hours and talked to all of us.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he was really nice. He was a really nice person. The world got a little less funny when he died.
I think someone argued he got a little less funny when he performed with your team. But
that was the beginning of the end.
Yeah.
That's when he was like, you know what? Maybe suicide is an option.
All right. After Mariah's elimination, Shay's relieved she dodged a bullet. Juju reveals the lipstick votes and lays out 2 votes for Shay. Mayhem admits that she voted for Shay because Mariah is her sister. And Alexis admits that she voted for Shay because she voted for the queen that was critiqued the hardest. In her confessional, Shay says she won't forget that Mayhem and Alexis tried to send her home. Lauri, your big thoughts on this whole after the elimination segment?
I don't know. I kind of thought it was a little bit of manufactured drama. I guess I still am not necessarily 100% a fan of them pulling out the lipsticks and sort of forcing everybody to tell who voted for who.
I think I know why that is. I believe it is All Stars 3 when Bibi Zahara Benet, contestant Bibi Zahara Benet, she lost the lip sync for the legacy, right? And so what had been traditionally the case is in previous iterations of All Stars, it would be the top 2 queens competed against each other as a battle for their legacy. The winning queen would then pull the lipstick from her bra and reveal who she had chosen to get the chop. Okay?
Okay.
In the next episode, in the opening scene, the queen who didn't win the lip sync would then reveal who she voted to go home. Okay?
Yeah.
It all stopped with Bibi Zahara Benet, who absolutely refused to reveal who she voted for. Refused. Despite all the pressure from the girls and everything, refused. So it's funny. I think the producers knew, but they can't, because then it would reveal that they know, right? So I think they came up with a scheme where it would essentially force those who voted to admit, because now it's on film. Okay, they film them making the votes, and then they lay out the lipsticks and reveal who voted. So I think it's a way to force the queen's hand to reveal who they voted for. But go ahead.
Oh, so I don't know. I felt like that was good. But also it's like, look, again, I think I'm going to keep going. And this is a point I have to make later on when we find out stuff at the end. But I think I'm just like, why are these queens are taking this so personally? It's a competition. Mm-hmm. But on the flip side, I will say that I was really disappointed with Alexis, because I honestly was like, I thought Alexis was going to be like, yeah, I voted for you because you're competition and I wanted you out of the competition. Instead, she was like, I voted for you because I didn't really feel like you gave it 100, and I respect the hell out of you, but I just was like, I can't vote for Mayhem.
Yeah.
Or India.
Well,
Mariah.
Yeah.
Sorry, Mariah.
I don't know what the reason is. I can't predict whether it was producers told them to lie or whatnot. Let me tell you this. If I were playing this game, I would have just straight up lied. I would have been the person going I don't know who voted for Shay, right? And even though they filmed me, Shay wouldn't know until at the watch party. You know, months later after the competition is done and people are crowned, right? I would have been like, oh, I don't know who voted for Shay. That's awful. I would never do that, right? I would never vote for Shay.
Yeah.
Or, like you said, if I were like, okay, I'm not going to do that, I'm going to tell the truth, I would have been like, yeah, your competition. But here's the deal. There has to be a version of Shay that knows that. And this is what was sort of getting me angry. What is the problem? Why? There is sort of an entitlement here. I'm not going to lie. Shay has a sense of entitlement that and you've seen this in other All-Stars, by the way. There was a sense
all of them do, though.
There was a sense of entitlement with Chad Michaels on All-Stars 1, but he actually won. Okay? So, all right. Then on All-Stars 2, there was a sense of entitlement on Alaska's end, which she won, but in the penultimate episode, there was some really gross moments that did not reflect on Alaska well, showing her sense of entitlement. Okay?
Yeah.
All-Stars 3, it seems that people with entitlement often win. Trixie had that sense of entitlement, but you know what? Shangela did too, but both of them, Shangela, I felt, deserved that award, right? But both Trixie and Shangela conflicted because they both had this sense of entitlement to that prize, you know? I can't predict. I don't feel anyone had that sense in All-Stars 4, but I could be wrong. And I feel that Shay has it. Like, Shay feels it is owed to her because she should have won season 9. And that anybody who steps in her way is robbing her of what she deserves. And, I think it'd be very fair to say, because Shay votes for people. Shay votes for people. Is it wrong when she votes for people?
I think there is a level of confidence you need. And I think there's a fine line between confidence and entitlement. So I get what you're saying in that. I think for the most part, you do need to sort of feel like this is yours. You need to, because that's, it's a mental game as much as it is anything else. But the thing that frustrates me is when it crosses over into entitlement is exactly what you're saying with Shay being like, I can't believe Alexis voted for me. It's like, you were in the bottom. Yeah. When you put yourself in the bottom, you put yourself in a league to get voted off. Like, that's just like...
it's not like on Gina, where on Gina wasn't even in the bottom, and Cracker was like, I wanted to vote for you. That, you're like, okay, what the... Bitch, I wasn't even in the bottom.
Yeah, that was ridiculous.
That's weird.
But she was in the bottom.
Yeah.
So it's like, either don't put yourself in the bottom... Or don't get surprised when people vote for you. Yeah. Now, I will say, don't get me wrong, I do find a little crazy that like only one person voted for India, but I guess we're not seeing a version of India that everybody else is seeing, because everybody's falling over themselves saying how hard she's working and how great she is, and all we see is this like weirdo with shark teeth.
No, don't you think you always want to keep India in the competition, because she's going to be, in case you have to go up against her later, she's your safety card.
But you don't know. See, that's the thing, is that's always a troubling thing to do, because you don't know if she's going to one day knock it out of the park and just have a great moment. And that great moment coincides with the finale, and then she wins the whole thing. Yeah. I mean, that's happened on other reality shows where people have been mediocre the whole way through and then gotten to the finale because people wanted to keep them through because they thought they could beat them. And then they knock it out of the park one day.
Look, here's the deal. That's what happened with Shay in season 9. Sasha had done okay, she did not win any individual challenges. In fact, the only challenges she won, I think she won 2, and I think they were both in a team competition with Shay. I could be wrong. And I know at least one of them was in a team competition with Shay. And then she shows up to season 9, the finale, because she rides that middle ground all the way to the finale. They introduce the lip sync for the crown, and she just slays and takes the crown. But it's a calculated risk you have to play. Now, by the way,
sorry. No, you go.
I want to go back to something that's also discussed when they're talking about the votes, when Shay's kind of pissed that they voted for her. And Shay has decided, I don't remember there being a group vote on this, because she's like, well, why would you vote for me? Based on my track record, you shouldn't have voted for me. I'm like, when did it become track record? Did they, maybe it did, but did they all get together and decide it was track record?
No. I think there's an unwritten, as far as I know, from the seasons I've watched and from other reality shows, there is always an unwritten rule that you go by track record. Now that almost never happens all the way through, but they're always supposed to say you're supposed to go by track record, which, I mean, I guess if you go by track record, Mariah was supposed to go home because India's won a competition, and so has Shea. And even though India's maybe been in the bottom a little bit more, I mean, I feel like her winning kind of evens it out. So then Mariah should have gone home. So I don't know. I think that in my opinion, track record wise, India and Shea are kind of evenly matched.
All right, the next day, Juju reads the mirror message for Mariah. Shea shades Juju because it's her first time wiping off a lipstick mirror message, and Alexis points out that every time a queen wins, she's in the bottom the following week. Next, RuPaul entered the workroom to announce this week's Maxi Challenge.
For this week's Maxi Challenge, you'll be caught behaving badly on the nationally syndicated gossip show, SheMZ. Working in teams, you need to improv your way through some scandalous situations. And you gotta be funny. Make me laugh.
All right, now next, RuPaul announced the teams. Here are the teams. Mayhem Miller is with India Farah. India will play a chronic shoplifter. Mayhem will play the thirsty shop girl. Then we have Jujubee, Blair St. Clair, and Ms. Cracker. Juju will play an overprotective drag mother. Blair will play her obnoxious, ungrateful daughter. And Ms. Cracker will play a shady queen in a college admission scandal. And then finally, in group 3, it's Shea Coulee and Alexis Mateo. Shea will play a drag queen fired from the fake housewives of Tuckahoe for being too fake. Alexis will play a messy drag queen fired from the same show for being too trashy. Later in the workroom, India admits to shoplifting. Mayhem has something to prove. Shea doesn't trust Alexis, but she wants to break the curse of her teammate going home. And Cracker confronts Blair about plotting to push her out of the competition, but Blair denies everything. Lauri, your thoughts? Well, why don't we save the Maxi Challenge when we talk about the Maxi Challenge? But all the stuff that happened in the workroom with India and Mayhem and that conversation, and Shea and Alexis and Cracker and Blair, any thoughts there?
I thought it was funny that India confessed to shoplifting.
Well, I was like, Lauri and India have something in common.
That's exactly what I thought. I was like, I almost expected her to be like, the lines were too long.
Yeah.
So I just took what I wanted.
Yeah. Everyone listening at home, Lauri has talked about this. She brags about this in every show in Afterthought.
I don't brag about it. I talked about it once, and you're the one who brought it up.
This Lauri went to Kohl's, and because they weren't fast enough when she was trying to buy some things,
they sent me to 3 different lines.
She just walked out of the store with a basket full of goods.
No, I walked to the store with one item, and I was just like, "You obviously, you guys don't want me to pay for it because you sent me to 3 different lines that were very long, and I had to pee." And I was like, I'm not going to stay in this line anymore. So I just walked out of the store. And I was like, look, if they stop me, I'll pay for it. But if they don't stop me, I'm going to my car. So.
Anyway, so go on with your thoughts on this workroom.
So I actually here's the thing. I felt like, well, we'll get into the dynamics of the actual scene later. But I feel like India and Mayhem, to me, seemed the most positive. So I was kind of excited going into the workroom because it seemed like they were like, we really want to do well, we want to do whatever. And I didn't really feel like the other teams were like working together. I mean, Alexis and Shea were kind of passive aggressively saying things to each other, which was cracking me up. But I mean, that scene was actually funnier in some ways than the scene that they did in SheMZ. But yeah, I felt like they weren't really focusing on the actual like rehearsing or anything. And then Cracker with her. Okay, again, I'm going to point out she wore that pink jacket to the workroom, and then she started drama. So I'm just going to say, anytime she wears that jacket, drama has started. If we're going to start making connections. Yeah. So she brought up that thing with Blair. I was like, oh, okay. Like, it just seemed really weird. But I will say, so that to me seemed weird. But then Jujubee, I felt, made it really funny. I could watch Jujubee listen to an argument like for a whole show. Yeah. Just her constantly going back and forth. Yeah. But do you think that her and Miss Cracker, like, it seems like Jujubee like actually thinks Miss Cracker's attractive. I'm not trying to say that like astonishingly. I'm just saying.
I'll be honest with you. I go back and forth with Cracker on sometimes I see Cracker and I'm like, wow, she's really attractive, right? As a boy.
Yeah.
Well, she's an attractive drag queen too, but I'm just saying, I'm talking about in a sexual, romantic way. Even though I like trans girls, I'm attracted to trans girls. That's why I consider myself pansexual. Okay.
Really?
Oh yeah. Oh my God. Who told me? Somebody told me about my favorite porn star, Michael Del Rey, is dating a trans girl and showed me they've made porn together. Oh my God, Lauri, I'm going to tell you something.
I think it depends on what Miss Cracker wears. I'm not skipping ahead because the conversation's making me uncomfortable.
No. Wait,
I think
it's making you uncomfortable. Why?
I don't know. Just you talking about porn. Like I just was like, okay, let's move on.
Well, but hey, wait, you go on these shows and apropos of nothing, you just start talking about all these different things that that you like to do with Star and all this. I'm like, where?
You are the one who keeps asking me the questions. I don't apropos of nothing.
Yeah, I'm just talking about something else, and you're like, did I tell you about me and Star? And I'm like, oh God, here we go again, right?
You're the one who always asks me if I like to drink period blood.
Do you?
No, I don't.
I just remember one time in 2006, you were talking about our friend Ashley. And apropos of nothing, you just said you wanted to drink her hot, steamy period blood.
I never said that. You're the one who brought it up.
That's not how I remember it. I remember we were at my fucking house just chilling, watching the BBC America show, How Clean Is Your House? A marathon. Lauri and I were watching, instead of cleaning our house, we were watching a marathon on BBC America on How Clean Is Your House. And then
we watched that show so hard.
And then at one point they vacuumed somebody's house and they were showing all the dirty water. Right? They showed all the dirty water in the canisters and they said, look at all the dirty water look at all the dirt we took out of your carpet. And Lauri went, ooh, I just imagine myself chugging those gallons of dirty water. Lauri, did you say that? It's true, right?
Not at all. In fact, you talking about it is making me really sick.
I remember yesterday. Oh, you were like, oh, Joe, I gotta go. And then I was like, and then you just hung up because you came so hard.
I never said that.
Anyway, Taylor the Latte Boy.
I've never had sex without involving Taylor the Latte Boy's name in some fashion.
Who doesn't? In fact, whenever I'm having sex with somebody, which is never, I put a picture of Taylor the Latte Boy over the guy's head. As I'm riding him.
I call my fist Taylor the Latte Boy.
As we're fucking, I go, oh, tell me 2 things you liked about fucking me and 1 thing you did not. Strangely, more times than not, it's about the producer manipulation.
I was going to say, well, with Miss Cracker, I feel like it's more what she's like. The outfit she wore, the camouflage outfit, I didn't really like all that much. But her outfit for the lip sync, I thought was great. So I feel like it just is really what she wears and how she kind of puts her makeup on and stuff.
What I was going to say is I go back and forth with Miss Cracker. But then, during the SheMZ challenge, when she was sitting there, I'm not going to lie.
Wait, when she was in boy drag or when she was in her girl drag?
When she was in boy drag.
Oh, okay.
She had a really nice pronounced bulge in her pants, and she had her legs spread. And I couldn't take my eyes off Ms. Bulge in those tight jeans. I know she's Jewish, but what I saw confirmed that. Because she was circumcised. Like most American men, but I just want to make a joke. But it's not an anti-Semitic joke. It's Jews historically, for religious purposes, get circumcised.
I didn't know what an uncircumcised penis was until about 2 years ago. I finally Googled one, and I was like, "Oh, that's what it looks like." Are you circumcised?
What's your guess?
You said like most American men, so I'm going to say yes.
No, I am not circumcised.
Really?
No, I'm not. Lauri, this is making me very uncomfortable. Anyway. Okay, so let's go into the Maxi Challenge. Cressley Carson, you know what, actually, Lauri? No, let's do that. No, this is smart. You know what, Lauri? Let's take a break right here. And when we come back, because I know it's going to be a deep dive, I don't want to cut it up. We'll do a deep dive into the what is it called? Oh, the Maxi Challenge. Okay, we'll be back right after this. Yeah.
Okay.
This is Amy Poehler. My new movie, Disney and Pixar's Inside Out 2, is coming to theaters June 14th, and it's making me feel joy and sadness and anger, definitely some disgust, and I think a little fear. But I'm also feeling these new emotions like anxiety, embarrassment, envy, and ennui.
It's what you call the boredom.
Okay, that one was weird. It's going to be the feel everything movie of the summer. Disney and Pixar's Inside Out 2, rated PG, parental guidance suggested. Only in theaters June 14th. Get tickets now.
And we're back. Okay, Lauri, as promised, we're going to get right into the Maxi Challenge. Cressley Carson from SheMZ asked the contestants who were dressed in boy drag to give her the tea. In sketch number 1, Shay and Alexis shade each other over an outdoor lunch. They both reveal their pregnancies and argue over having the same baby daddy. Shay accuses Alexis of having a food baby. Alexis pulls a pillow out of Shay's blazer, and Shay pulls a pillow out of Alexis's jumpsuit. And a pillow fight ensues. Alexis rips off Shay's wig. They fight, and Alexis yells at the camera to go away. Lauri, your thoughts on the first sketch with Shay and Alexis?
Okay, so first off, with Shay and Alexis, I legitimately, across the board, thought this was a good scene. It heightened to a good place. I thought they both did a pretty good job. Now, to be nitpicky, one of the things I felt like was they didn't really give themselves or each other a lot of gifts. And usually you want to give yourself gifts and you want to give your partner gifts when you're doing an improv. But
why don't you explain all these things that you're talking about? I don't think not everybody here is in the Mount Olympus of comedy and improv in Los Angeles like you are.
Okay, so that's not true. But improv is hard in general. So that's what I'm going to say. Like, people practice this their whole life. So the fact that these queens I'm assuming little to no improv experience, were able to do these scenes, to me, I think shows how talented they truly are. So I'm going to say that right off the bat. Okay. Going into this, I think that, first off, I think they were probably given I would say probably the second best characters. So this is more of a short form scene because they were already given the characters and what they were kicked off for. So they can already form the personality. They don't have to create characters while they're improvising. So when in improv, there's a big thing with yes and. And what yes and means is if my partner says something, then I say yes to that in my character's voice, and I add information, usually by either giving gifts for myself or, more importantly, my partner. In improv, your big thing is you always want to make your partner look better. So I don't feel like they really did that throughout the whole time. And that's why I feel like it started stagnating towards the end. And you'll see that in both this scene and a little bit in Jujubee and Blair and Cracker scene, but not a lot. I felt like theirs was really good. And you'll see that a lot in India and Mayhem scene where they go crazy, where like, and it's funny though, because it's a crazy thing, but like Alexis starts shoving burgers in her bra. Yeah. She starts doing like all this stuff. It's because they don't have anything to work with. They're not working within that scene. So they start doing crazier things. And I think that happened after the pillow fight. Mm-hmm. So what happened was they were, Ross, first off, Ross was adorable in this episode. I loved Ross. Okay. And I thought Ross did a good job of kind of trying to move the scenes along. And so he was the one asking questions and they would just sort of answer him. And I thought in the beginning, Shay was doing a good job of sort of playing that passive aggressive, like trying to be nice, but really saying mean things. But I don't think Alexis was really giving anything. She was reacting to Shay, but she wasn't giving anything to Shay. So I think that Shay was kind of steering most of that scene herself. Sometimes, a lot of times the people who steer the scene look secondary because they're the ones making sense of the crazy. And Alexis was doing the crazy emotional reactions to what Shay was saying, but she wasn't adding any information. So Shay was caught having to also add new information and react to what Alexis was doing. Okay. There's a scene in the scene where you find out that Alexis is pregnant, and then you find out that Shay's pregnant as well, and Alexis rips her dress to show that it's a pillow, and Shay literally looks at the camera, almost like well, now I don't know what to do. Like she's kind of like, what should I look at the reaction of the audience? What am I supposed to do next? Again, another thing I will point out is it's very hard to do improv without an audience, because a big thing with improv is that you rely on the audience to tell you what's working and what's not working. Mm-hmm. So if something's getting a laugh, okay, like let's keep heightening, let's keep doing it. If it's not getting a laugh, to kind of move on. Mm-hmm. So Ross was sort of the audience, but he wasn't, it's not like he could laugh and,
well, he's also part of the scene.
Yeah, he's part of the scene. So it's a little, that again is something that's against them. So again, this just goes to how talented they are, that they are able to sort of move things in any way without audience guide, just by sheer instinct. So, you see Shay kind of have a moment where she's like, I don't really know what to do next, but she immediately gets out of it. And she opens up Alexis's blouse and reaches down her blouse and pulls out a pillow, reveals that she's also faking it, which to me goes for the funniest part of the whole scene, which Ross goes, they're both faking it. I thought that was hilarious. Yeah. So overall, I thought this was a good scene. It heightened to a good place, but it could, just to be nitpicky, it could have heightened to a crazier place, to a more solid place. I mean, this could have been something where they start throwing tables from other people and they start using other people to fight their battles. And they could have done so much with the space. They could have done so much with the information they were given. They could have, walked out onto the street. Now, again, I will say one of the things that I'm doing this coming from the place of just purely watching the scene. I don't know what the logistics of production was. Maybe they were confined to one space. Maybe they only confined to a table. Maybe they could only do certain, so they could be limited in what they're allowed to do. But that's just me coming from a nitpicky place. But yeah, I would say this is my second favorite scene.
Oh, this was 100% for me the best scene, because it's the one that made the most sense. Like there was a through line. There was essentially the closest you could get to a beginning, a middle, and end, and it heightened in a way that made sense, right?
Yeah.
But by the way, both of their makeup looked awful. They did not adjust for being outside and being in day drag. They painted as if they were in a club.
I think that was part of the point, though.
Oh, was it? Was that part of the joke? Oh, okay.
I think because they're both sort of trashy, like queens, so I think they were. That was part of the. I liked it. I mean, I thought that. I forgot what it was, but I liked it. I liked it.
All right. Well, anyway, I felt that the sketch was bad, but it was probably the least bad of the 3 sketches. All right, let's move on to the next one. It was Juju, Blair, and Cracker. What were your thoughts here, Lauri, on the scene with Juju, Blair, and Cracker? I'll tell you what it was. Just so for everyone knows, at the Michelle Visage Free Clinic, Ross confronts Cracker about accusations over a college admission scandal. Cracker drops a pee cup. Juju and Blair are fresh from prison. Juju's accused of paying for her daughter Blair to get into Drag U. Juju reveals a picture of Blair's face on Laganja's body, and Cracker turns on Juju. Blair slaps Cracker, and Cracker slaps Juju multiple times. What were your thoughts here, Lauri?
So, I thought this was one of the better scenes, and I'll tell you why. So the first scene with Alexis and Shay was more of a short form, like Second City improv scene. Mm-hmm. It was that scene, right? Where it's sort of like if they were to walk out in front of an audience and say, okay, we need a relationship between the two of us, and we need, what are we? Or what's our character? What are we? And then you go and you do a scene, right? Mm-hmm. This one is more of a groundlings character-based scene, where each person is reacting in their character, and I felt honestly that all of them did brilliantly. All of them did really well. Now, did it go to weird places? Yes, I thought it went to some weird places. And I looked at the time, this scene went longer than the other scenes. So I feel like it did a little feel towards the end that they were a little running out of steam, but I think it's because they had a longer time than the other ones. Mm-hmm. So I thought Cracker did really well coming out and sort of being like, I thought Ross did a great job of sort of confronting her and kind of setting up the scene. I thought Miss Cracker did a great job of sort of like setting up what's going to happen, because she basically says like, I had nothing to do with this. And then Juju and Blair come out revealing that she had everything to do with this. So, I felt Blair, to be honest with you, I felt Blair was a little underrated. I felt like she did an amazing job in this scene. She played that bitchy teenager so well, and she reacted to everything that was happening to her, and she funneled it through her character, and she gave her mom more and more information to use, and I felt like she, in my opinion, was directing the scene. Because any time that Blair would do something, Jujubee would react to Cracker, and Cracker would react to Jujubee. And then they would continue. So even though it looked like Cracker was sort of running the scene, I felt, in my opinion, Blair was doing the most work. So Jujubee was very, Jujubee was very funny. I felt like she had her character pretty down pat. Again, I'm going to be nitpicky. I don't really feel like there needed to be some sort of sexual tension thing that was going on, but I do see why it happened. And that's, again, I feel like anytime you watch an improv scene, if it goes on for any length of time, eventually the two characters are going to start making out with each other.
Is it like that is that the rule about Hitler? Like every internet debate eventually just lands up at someone calling someone Hitler?
Yes, exactly. So I think when people get nervous, they immediately go to sex. And so they'll just start like being like, oh, I'm so into you. And I think that's kind of what happened. But I think they both handled it pretty well. I think they were still realizing that they added the sexual element, but they also needed to still honor what was happening. So I thought this scene was pretty good. It was a little bit, I think it could have been a little bit more cohesive. I'm actually going to say my opposite note from the last scene, which is I feel like maybe they could have reined it in a little bit more and focused on what they had. But I feel like, overall, I feel like this was a pretty great scene.
This scene was horrible. I have no idea what happened at this scene. I don't know. Why were they, if it was a school scandal, why were they at the Michelle Visage Free Clinic?
Okay. So this brings me to a note. I do have a note here. I honestly feel like the biggest obstacles they had to deal with wasn't their skills. It wasn't the queen's skills. It was the shitty jokes that the production made them have. like this Michelle Visage free clinic, this stupid SheMZ boys room where they kept cutting in and out and doing like weird bits with the boys. I felt like that was the stuff that was really dumb. And that had nothing to do with the queens. That had everything to do with the writers. So I feel like the writers were trying to ham fist in. I felt like they didn't trust their performers to do a good job. And they were like, we got to ham fist in these quote unquote funny bits into the scene.
Yeah, I like the way they ham-fisted these funny bits into the scene for no reason whatsoever. Kind of like I'm doing right now by playing this song and fucking doing it in this voice.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, Lauri.
Oh, yeah, you're taking away from the show so much.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I know, just out of nowhere going into this bit that we played to death 15 minutes ago. Anyway.
Oh, yeah, you're wasting so much time right now. Oh, my God, you're wasting so much time.
Can I finish, please? It was horrible. Of the three sketches, okay. In the first sketch, I can tell you exactly what happened. In the third sketch, wait till we get to that one. I can tell you what happened. I have no idea what happened in this sketch. None. And when you said it went the longest, yeah, and we felt every second of it. Trust me. We know it went the longest. Thank you. All right, next. The boys gossip about India shoplifting at Fred Siegel. Ross confronts India about shoplifting. Mayhem yells at India. Mayhem poses for SheMZ, then reveals a metal detector wand. India confesses that she's a licker. Mayhem licks India's donut. India drops a vase from her panties and then licks the shattered glass. Lauri, give us a long 10-minute explanation of this sketch.
All right. You know what? I'm going to do you one better. I'm going to give you a 20-minute explanation. So this one, I guess, judging from your critiques, I'll be a little shorter. This one, I feel like they were doomed from the beginning. One of the main tenets, again, of improv. So we have yes and, we have make your partner look good, and we have give gifts, which is like, give something that a gift is like not saying like necessarily here's a gift I got you. It's like being like you're from Missouri, or you have your left eye doesn't work, or something like that. And those are bad examples, but those are sort of things that like then the person, your partner, can sort of look at those and go like, oh, okay, I'm from Missouri, so now I act like how do I think of a person from Missouri acts like, and stuff like that. So and a big thing with improv, a big tenet of improv is you always want to try and know the person you're in the scene with. Not like, I'm not talking about like your partner. I'm talking about you as characters should know each other. You should have a relationship. One improv teacher I had that I really liked always said, you want to kind of always think that you and this person know each other for about 2.5 years, because that's enough time to where you sort of get a gist of the person, but you can still be surprised by what they're doing. So, I felt like these two had already started off with downhill because they didn't know each other. And also, you want to try and shy away from transactional scenes. And this was essentially a transactional scene where it was Mayhem was like, give me back my stolen goods. And India was like, what are you talking about? I didn't steal anything. So they weren't yes-anding, but they also weren't, there wasn't anything to move the scene along. They didn't have a relationship. They didn't know each other that well. So there was really nothing to go. Now, could they have done this themselves? Yes, they could have. They could have started a relationship. They could have improvised that. But I mean, it's, when you're not an improv person, it's hard to realize that that's what you need to do. And so when they're given these characters and they're playing to the characters, it's hard for them to be like, oh yeah, I should also make sure that we know each other. And we should forge a relationship. It's hard for those people to do. So on that end, I felt like they did it as best they could. And by that, I mean, they went insane almost immediately. And the licking thing was pretty much, I was like, they're going to do something crazy at the end because they have nowhere else to go. They don't have a relationship. They don't know each other. They're not acknowledging that India's not acknowledging that she's stolen anything. So they have to go to some crazy thing because right now all they're doing is just yelling at each other. And so India says the thing about licking. Now that's fine. That's a crazy extreme, but then Mayhem agrees with her and starts licking. Now, you could essentially make an argument for that. Yeah, maybe they could both be into licking, but I think the more reasonable thing was that Mayhem needed to then be the person of reason. Mayhem needed to be like, who gives a shit? Why, you're licking, like that's really weird. Why not just eat the donut? Like you're not getting any nutrients in. And even when she drops the vase from her hoo-ha and starts licking it, nobody's calling out that crazy. And you always want to call out the crazy. Even if you want to join in, you always be like, that's the craziest thing I've ever seen. And I'm into it. So, but nobody did that. Nobody called out the crazy in this. So I think they both thought that they did a great job because they went to such an extreme place. But I think that it was because there was no substance.
But then let me interrupt here for a second. This sketch was horrible. It was the worst one of them all. I will say, interesting note, and Lauri would know this. The parking lot of Fred Siegel in West Hollywood is where you're not supposed to, but where the comics park to go to the improv because there's no parking. Improv. And by the way, that's not the real parking lot of Fred Siegel. But going to what you were saying, that's a very good point about not calling the crazy. They don't call the crazy. But don't you think that's really a failure of Ross's part? That should have been Ross's job to call the crazy. Like, I'm holding the camera like, oh my God, this is crazy. Who does this?
Well, he kind of did. He was like, oh, this is great, SHMZ report or whatever. But he didn't say, he's not supposed to be the straight man. He's supposed to be sort of like the instigator or sort of, so he kind of did his job. He's not supposed to move the scene one way or another. And so I think that they, look, again, I think they did their best with what they were given. And the fact that, I'm just assuming they don't have any improv experience. They did as best a scene as they could have possibly done.
All right, very good. All right, Lauri, that was very good. You see, this is why people now you can understand why Lauri is the goddess of comedy and improv in Los Angeles. Again, now you see why Robin Williams asked to perform with Lauri. Look how much she knows about this.
Well, also, I think that there should have been. One of my notes again is that I wish we would have seen more behind the scenes. I would have loved to have seen an improv coach come in and do like a improv thing with them and kind of just give them tenets of improv. Yeah. I think if Indian Mayhem had just known, maybe make sure you guys know each other, I think the scene would have been 10 times better.
But Lauri, this is where you and I'm not even joking. I'm announcing now the creation, I don't know how long it's going to take to put together, of a new Patreon show that we're going to call Drag You. I hope the title's not taken, right? Where I will host.
Drag You.
Yeah. I will be the host.
Wait, isn't Drag You the defunct school that RuPaul had?
Mm-hmm. In fact, I even have the theme song right here. I actually think it's an underrated RuPaul song. It's actually a really fun RuPaul song. I can't find it. Where is it? I'll find it, right? But there is the Drag You theme song is a really fun RuPaul song that I wish maybe because it was the theme song. I'll find it before the end of the show. They don't play it more. It's a really fun, upbeat song. We'll play it right now. Okay. Anyway, okay. So we're gonna go on now. You know what, Lauri? I forgot. Where was my brain? It is now time for the looks. The category is Camo Couture. Guest judge Sarah Hyland from Modern Family was with the judges. Lauri, did you have any big takeaways from the looks?
I love them all.
Oh, you did? All of them?
I thought India looked great. I was actually kind of not shocked because I felt like she's been doing pretty good on the runway, in my opinion. But she looks really great. I felt like I think this is the majority, except for the moment with Mayhem Miller. I would say the majority of the notes given by the judges is what I agree with. And they even said that usually they don't think that this look is pretty good, but I thought they did great. I also thought RuPaul looked great. I loved her dress. I don't know. I love the judges. I thought Sarah Hyland, I think she's going to become like a big star. I think she's just great. But I thought she looked great. I loved her hair. But yeah, I love Jujubee's dress with the cape. I thought that looked great. I feel like that to me was like the dressier of the camouflage, in my opinion. Like, I feel like I could see somebody wearing that out. But everything else I felt like was kind of couture and, not necessarily for outside use. So, but yeah, I thought everybody looked great.
I thought Jujubee looked the best and captured the challenge the best. Blair St. Clair, how is that fucking camouflage? Because she's dressed like a tree?
Well, it's camouflage because she has camouflage. She's using the camouflage as branches. So I thought that was actually a really good interpretation.
I thought India looked cheap. I thought her outfit looked cheap. I think she looked cheap. Didn't like it.
I thought Shay looked amazing, per usual.
We're really good at the looks. We should do the looks like this every week.
Yeah. I love how, like, I'm talking, like, I have, like, 5 sentences, and you're just like, I thought she looked cheap. Moving on.
I'm going to tell you something. I mean, look, talking about improv classes, maybe you should take some broadcasting. Talking short bursts, Lauri. Horrible. The end.
Okay.
Those are the looks. Look, it's well known. Oh, we didn't talk about Elimination Day. I skipped that. Let's go to Elimination Day. It's Elimination Day and the queens prepare for the runway. Alexis and Shay joke around about loving each other. Shay says that she had fun in the challenge but still doesn't trust her. Blair reveals she had a DUI. Mayhem reveals that she has 2 DUIs. So she was served. And she was arrested and dragged both times. She was made to strip naked. Officers laughed and took pictures of her. After serving time, Mayhem got help and says that she held back that star in her season, but she's now more comfortable in her skin. Lauri, your thoughts on the Elimination Day conversations?
I thought it was awful. I felt so bad for Mayhem.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, look, I've had several friends unfortunately die due to drunk driving accidents.
That's right. Yeah.
And so I don't see drunk driving as I think it's I think it's honestly one of the most abhorrent things you could do. Mm-hmm. But on the same coin, I mean, she admitted she was wrong. She admitted that she had a problem. Mm-hmm. And I don't think that the police officer's treatment of her was in any way right or necessary. I thought it was so awful that she was put through that. Mm-hmm. So I don't know. I thought it was I'm glad. I thought it was brave of her to share. Mm-hmm. And I mean, I hate to, I feel like we keep bringing up race and stuff, but I mean, I feel like it's just another story from an African-American man of how the police treated them differently and treated them horribly. And I would be interested to find out if somebody else had been arrested, if a white person had been arrested in drag, if they would have been treated the same way.
I don't know. I'm sure with Blair St. Clair, they just took her home and tucked her into a little matchbox. But what's funny though is I happen to know about Blair St. Clair. I was following her story even before she was on her season. So I don't think her timeline is correct. Unless I think the only thing because I feel we knew in the Drag Race community that she had been arrested for a DUI before her elimination on the show. I feel when we even went into the season, we knew she'd been arrested for a DUI. So I think what she really said or meant, and they made her change it because they don't like to they don't like to show the behind the scenes stuff too much. I think this is a bad memory and I have to go do research. I think she got drunk and was arrested for your DUI the weekend she got home after really being eliminated in the competition. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I think that's the case. I think we knew about it before the I feel like it came out after Meet the Queens, but before the season aired. Spoiled Drag Race found out that she had been arrested for a DUI. So,
okay.
And they were wondering how that was going to play on the show or what they were going to do. It was such an innocent time back then when they thought they would disqualify her from the competition because she had a DUI.
Oh my God.
Yes, and it's a horrible story about mayhem. And I thought the Alexis and Shay joking around, we got the joke once, and then it just felt very overproduced. I don't know if it was by a producer or by themselves, but it felt overdone.
Yeah.
All right, now we've done the looks. Let's go to the critiques. Shay and Blair are safe and dismissed from the stage. Juju's praised for her yes and improv acting, but criticized for her runway look. Mayhem's criticized for her runway look and also criticized for her acting. Mayhem claps back at Carson over his critiques of her look, and Michelle calls her out for having an attitude. Juju, it's always a good thing to say to a black person. Juju and Alexis are safe. Mayhem and India are in the bottom two. Miss Cracker is named the top all-star of the week. Before the lip sync, Cracker talks to the bottom queens. Mayhem says she wants to prove that she's an all-star. India throws Mayhem under the bus and says that Mayhem held back. Your thoughts on everything, main stage, and before the lip sync, Lauri?
Yeah, I didn't like that at all. I also didn't like that when Michelle confronted her in the Untucked episode when she's like, "Oh, I felt a little bit of an attitude," and I was like, just drop it. Like, why do you give so much? Why do you care?
Yeah.
Are you upset that somebody was bitchy to you because you were judging her for a competition that she wants to stay on? Like, fucking grow up. Like, I just love how these judges are so thick, so thin-skinned, but they expect the queens to be able to take the criticism.
Listen, one time they made a joke about Drag U on season 7. You remember this? And Michelle's like, "What you say about Drag U? What you say about Drag?" Which was so fake, by the way, right? And you know what I said to her? Yeah, coming in here on RuPaul Radio, it's RuPaul with a theme to Drag You. It's the first day of spring. It is. I want to get to the hook, okay? I'm spreading my wings. Spread them, bitch. Embracing the
beauty. Girl, look how orange you fucking look, girl.
Oh my God, get to the hook. Here it comes.
What was the point of Drag You?
It was a makeover show, and so they would bring in large, frumpy women who only wear black shirts and just have their hair pulled back and horn rimmed glasses, and just
I can't believe those women still think that they look good.
And they vomit and have diarrhea in the middle of podcasts. They bring in those people and the drag and dainty wrists supposedly. And they bring in
pretty dainty.
Yeah, they bring in these women. The drag queens work with them to make them look beautiful.
I feel like, based off your description, I feel like I might be. I should apply.
No.
Maybe I should see if Drag U can start opening back up again, and then.
Yeah. Judy Carter.
What?
Judy Carter. Got it. By the way, I'm talking about someone inside. She's a LA comedy teacher. Her wife was the producer of Drag U.
Oh, really? Mm-hmm. Oh, is that why it failed so miserably?
All right. Any other thoughts on everything we just said?
No, yeah. I agreed with almost all critiques except for Mayhem. I thought Mayhem looked great. I felt like she looked sexy. I felt like she looked great. And I was very frustrated with India for throwing her under the bus. I felt like Mayhem was trying to steer the ship. Mm-hmm. And India was essentially like, throwing shit off the side of the boat for no reason. So, it just, I don't feel like India was I feel like Mayhem was the driving force of the scene.
All right, let's move on. Ms. Cracker during the elimination faces off against this week's lip sync assassin Morgan McMichaels. The song "Where Have You Been" by Rihanna. Ru, after the lip sync, announces a double win, with Cracker winning $20,000, and now the possibility of 2 queens going home. So if Cracker pulls one lipstick like India, and let's say Morgan pulled Mayhem, they would both go home, right? Morgan reveals her lipstick, and it has Mayhem's name on it. Cracker also reveals her lipstick, but it also has Mayhem's name on it. And Mayhem.
Yeah, I did like that twist. I was like, oh, that could be.
Yeah, and
that could be good. I wonder if that'll happen in going forward, because that is a good twist.
Anyway, Mayhem Miller is eliminated. Lauri Roggenkamp, any final thoughts on the episode?
I honestly feel like I don't feel like both of them won. I feel like both of them just didn't lose, if that makes sense. I didn't feel like Morgan McMichaels did an amazing job, and I didn't feel like Cracker did an amazing job. Mm-hmm. I feel like they just sort of like didn't like suck, and they didn't suck at the same level. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I mean, the only thing that I thought was kind of funny was when Cracker was doing that thing where she was rolling her leg and hopping over it, and then Morgan McMichaels also jumped over her leg. Oh, that was funny, yeah. I thought that was cool. That was funny, but I mean, it's like they didn't really do anything that I was like, "Ooh, that's cool." Mm-hmm. You know, I didn't really think that the lip sync was all that. But I mean, I'm glad Miss Cracker won the $20,000, mm-hmm. and it was interesting to find out that was a caveat for both of them winning. So yeah.
All right, very good. Any final things, Lauri? Any final points you didn't make?
I'm a little frustrated that India didn't go home. I felt like track record wise she should have gone home. I felt like scene wise she should have gone home. I feel like maybe there's a person we're not seeing, mm-hmm. because everybody, even Mayhem in Untucked, said she voted for herself, mm-hmm. which we should talk. I could talk about that for 20 minutes because it's like, if you're not here to compete, then don't bother. Like, don't do, like, why is it these women cannot understand competition? Like, why can't they understand what a competition means? Vote for the other person, God damn it. Even if you don't think you should have won or should be here, still vote for the other person. Who gives a shit? Mm-hmm. There's so many things in life that are done unfairly. So, it's a competition. You do everything you need to do to win. Mm-hmm. And I just don't understand these queens that are like, I couldn't go to sleep at night knowing that I voted for India. It's like, who gives a shit? Who gives a shit? Take a sleeping pill. I don't know. I just think it was so frustrating that she voted for herself. I think India is only staying in the competition because, I don't know, she gives blowjobs to the group at the end of the show.
Ru's head was shiny during the Maxi Challenge. Like, it was distractingly shiny. But what's funny is she had the makeup that went up to a certain point, and so that wasn't shiny. Her face wasn't shiny, and then the very top of her head was super shiny.
That's it?
Yeah. Well, also, I forgot to mention that I love how, yet again, Mayhem has her big mirror moment, and she goes home. Like, don't admit your big secret, because that's the ticket for you to go home. You're just buying yourself a ticket if you make your
I also like that jumper. I thought that was a cute jumper.
Who?
Mayhem's jumper.
Oh. All right. Okay. Well, that's going to do it for this week's episode of RuPaul's Drag Race Recap. This episode was produced by Bree Weiss and Luke Stamen. Be sure to join us next week and every week as we continue to discuss, dissect, and deconstruct each brand new episode of RuPaul's Drag Race All Stars 5. So, for Lauri Roggenkamp and myself,
sashay away until next week.
Thank you for listening to RuPaul's Drag Race Recap. Have something to say? Email us at dragracerecap@gmail.com. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Drag Race Recap. For more Drag Race and LGBTQ content, support us over on Patreon at patreon.com/afterthoughtmedia. You can follow Lauri Roggenkamp on Twitter at PickleMyth. She also has other podcasts like The Bloody Podcast and Lauri and Colin Have an Episode. They're available wherever you get your podcasts. You can also support Lauri on Patreon at patreon.com/bloodypodcast. Follow Joe Betance on Instagram at Joe Betance. This episode was produced by Luke Stamen. Drag Race Recap is an Afterthought Media podcast.
Everyone knows therapy is great for solving problems, but getting therapy has its own problems too, like finding the right therapist, fitting into their schedule, and of course, the cost. Well, BetterHelp can solve those problems. It's totally online and built around your schedule. It's surprisingly affordable too. Connect with a credentialed therapist by phone, video, or online chat, all from the comfort of your home. Visit BetterHelp.com to learn more and save 10% on your first month. That's BetterHelp, H-E-L-P.